6 months into their teacher training, PGCE students talk us through their best and worst days on the job. The best days are when you feel like you've really ignited a spark and the children are really engaged. And you look at what you've done at the end of the day and you say, that was learning, not working.
My worst day was towards the end of my placement. It was a Friday afternoon with a low ability year 10 and they just did not want to be there. And there was, their normal teacher was on a cover lesson and my mentor was observing, so too much change, and I tried to do an open-ended role-play task. It didn't go very well. I think I managed to draw it together at the end, but I felt like I'd lost that battle. I felt a bit out of control, a little bit helpless.
It was this time, just literally last week, the last week before half term, I was explaining to some of my classes that I wasn't going to be around for a few weeks going off for my secondary school placement, and just completely out of the blue, unexpectedly, there was just some groans and like, oh no sir, but are you coming back? Who are we going to have while you're gone? And I was just, you know, I was really taken aback by it, purely for the fact that it was completely unexpected, and really was probably the first time in teaching, well, my very small career so far of about 4 or 5 months, where I felt really actually sort of wanted, and it was really heartfelt.
My worst teaching day involved everything that could possibly go wrong, from IT faults to unexpected pupil absences to room changes to lack of pupil engagement initially. So I took a deep breath and decided to swerve away from the lesson plan that I'd meticulously prepared. I enabled pupils who were displaying understanding to take turns being the teacher and explaining the task to the rest of the cohort. And in the end, this resulted in a much better outcome than I'd originally expected.
I think the worst day that I've had so far was quite near the start of my second school placement, teaching maths to a very different group than I teach usually. So year 3 and 4 rather than year 5, and a much bigger mix of abilities. And I pitched a lesson that was probably a bit too far ahead of where they were. And it just felt like everything kind of went wrong, and like, from my perspective, it felt like it was quite a poor lesson. Actually, when I spoke to my second school mentor about it, it wasn't as bad as I thought, but there were some things that I could have changed. But it was just that kind of initial thought of, this lesson's gone really badly, and it's quite a negative experience.
So my best day was when I set up a year 12 fish dissection, and I hadn't planned it especially well. It hadn't been set up to be amazing, but whilst it was going on, one of the pupils said to her friend, "This is the best lesson ever." And I just thought, how amazing is that I hadn't done anything special, but to her it had meant a lot, and it had really depicted what biology was like, and that was really encouraging for me to hear one of my pupils say that off the cuff.
As with the ups do come the downs, and definitely I remember a time just before Christmas, in the long sort of dark days of winter, and you sort of just feel like there's a never-ending list of tasks to get through, whether it be the stack of books which has been slowly mounting on your desk, or entering data for some statistics, or preparing for a parents' evening, whatever it is. It just seems like there's a never-ending task, and it can become quite overwhelming, and you can find yourself in quite a dark place sometimes.
So the best lesson was probably one of the ones I did with my year 9 class. We were looking at Macbeth, and a lot of the students in the class are kind of lower attainers, low literacy level, but actually my mentor remarked on it, saying it was an outstanding lesson, and he's not a guy to give praise that easily. He remarked that actually sort of being able to take some of those lower literacy students and get them to grapple with quite a complex question, so whether Lady Macbeth is a stereotypical Jacobean woman was quite something, and actually kind of take them through a good learning journey. So it felt great.